Okay, and we are live. So here we are, and welcome to episode 35 of TLC Tech Learn Coffee. I am your host, along with C. Minikotsi. My name is Lisa Nowakowski, and I teach fifth grade in Southern Monterey County.
And I'm Nancy. I'm an instructional technology coach in Northwest LA County. Just a reminder about our podcast format. We have a 15-minute limit because nobody's got time for more than that.
No, they don't. And today's coffee fact is, did you know that soft or deionized water makes for a, wait for it, less balanced cup of coffee and can actually rob you of caffeine? Yikes, I didn't know that.
No.
All right. No, terrible. So tonight's guest is Aida Awad, and she will be talking to us about geospatial tools. So Aida, tell us a bit about yourself and who you are, what you do.
Well, this is a great topic for today, having all been excited about the eclipse all day long. So thanks for inviting me to join you guys. A couple things about me. I'm a faculty member. I teach earth science and environmental science at Broward College in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we had 78% totality today on the eclipse at 2:58 p.m. So that was exciting. Last year, I was serving as an Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellow at the U.S. Department of Energy in Washington, D.C., so I got to spend the whole year in D.C. at DOE, and acronym city is what that place is all about. And then prior to that, I was a high school administrator for over 20 years. I've also been a Google certified trainer since the beginning of the program way back in 2010. And I'm really proud to tell you that as a geoscientist, I've been working with geospatial tools for a long time. And I'm very excited about bringing them into not only my own class, but sharing the power of integrating those tools into lessons with other educators. So I'm really excited to be here and talk to you a little bit about those things.
Goodness, we are so excited to have you here too. Thank you so much for joining us. So as you said, today was the eclipse and we were all waiting for it. So did you get a chance to use any of the Geo tools today in conjunction with the eclipse?
Yes, we did. So I'm hoping that some people out there have already tried the new web-based Google Earth. And if you haven't, now's a really great time to do it because there's a Voyager section in that new tool that's dedicated to the eclipse. So this morning I had my students explore Voyager to see what they could learn about the eclipse. And there's actually part of the tool where they can click on their location and see exactly what it's going to look like during the beginning, middle, and all the way through the eclipse. So it's a great tool to look at. But there are also some short video clips and other pieces in there for students to learn about the eclipse right inside of that new web-based Google Earth. So if you've got Chromebooks in your classroom or other devices, hop on earth.google.com and see what you see. And then the funniest thing, which the students really, really enjoyed, of course, was that we had to have our eclipse playlist going. So, you know, total eclipse and here comes the sun and all that other good stuff. just to be fun, you know, you got to do that.
It's fun. That is definitely fun. What a great way to get them all involved and thinking about it and thematically. And what a great tip on using the new web-based browser or the web-based, excuse me, Google Earth. It is pretty amazing. So you, let's see. So on a regular basis, do you use Geo tools in the classroom? And what are some of the great ways that you're using them in your classroom?
Yeah, we do. And, you know, there are other tools, other geospatial tools, even other geospatial tools that are free. If you want to check some of those out, some come from ESRI. But because I'm a Google certified trainer, I primarily use the Google tools. So things like Google Earth, Google Maps, Google My Maps, Google Earth Engine, those are on the top of my list for using with students. They're great and easy with Chromebooks and other devices in the classroom. So we've used those tools in a bunch of different ways. We do things like exploring landscapes for geological features, asking questions about features that students observe in different types of regions, creating and viewing Google Earth tours, taking virtual field trips, which is awesome. And also using them to visualize data that you can find and harvest right off the web, KML and KMZ files of big data sets, small data sets. They're out there and they're available, and those are great to use. So we also use My Maps to create visualizations of data sets that the students collect. Those are pretty easy to do if you can kind of marry up a Google spreadsheet with a Google My Map. And it's great because students can collaborate on those just like they can with the other Google tools. So, once you've talked about Google Earth and My Maps and Maps and those things, you also have to remember that Google Expeditions is out there, and it takes it kind of to a whole nother plane, a whole nother level of adding in that VR experience for the geospatial component too. So lots of good expeditions out there that you can really take your virtual field trips a little bit further and still dig into data on the ground using the other tools. So
that's great. I love how you use data.
Yeah, it's a really important part of it. But there's one other thing I want to mention, just so I don't forget. While I'm in a science classroom when I'm teaching, but I also do a lot of work with other educators. And one of the tools that's out there that's really popular is called Google Lit Trips. And that's a tool where you can bring in geospatial versions of lots of different books that are popular in educational literature. So, you've got the classics like Romeo and Juliet and all those good things, but you have all the fun literature that has kind of a geospatial component too. So check out Google Lit Trips. You can Google that and find those, and they're pretty fun. Don't be afraid to sign up on that website. It's a little daunting looking when you first get in there, but sign up and grab it too. Yeah.
That's a great tip. They do have a lot of really great resources on that website. So thank you. Do you start with non-tech tools when you start with your geospatial?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we used to do a ton with paper maps and aerial photography and things like that. And we've really moved away from that. We now teach the mapping skills directly through Google Earth and through Google Maps. And we find that you can do as well teaching the basic skills of mapping through those digital tools. But the students really enjoy that learning experience more because it's a richer opportunity for them to dive deeply into different spaces and take a look at what's going on there. But also because you can very quickly get to the point where you can bring in these geospatial data sets, whether they're big ones or little ones, and integrate them into your lessons and work with them as part of that classroom activity where you're not doing so much qualitative work, but you're also mirroring the quantitative work, even at a lower grade level that's possible. So you've got that ability to visualize the data when you use the geospatial tools like Earth and Maps that you didn't have with paper. So that's kind of why we migrated away from the non-tech pieces. Yeah.
It sounds like you're really getting some deeper thoughts and deeper thinking going on with the students with using all of the data sets as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
What has been the biggest benefit of using these tools besides that I could nerd out on these with you, right along with you?
Yeah, just the idea that you can go places that you usually can't really go. So it's really easy to take students up to the top of Mount Everest or to the Nile Delta, to Antarctica, you name it. You can take students there and visualize those landscapes and those features and look at the processes and look at data related to all of them. So you can do all those things that you just really couldn't do with paper or just with imagery. And that makes it a much richer experience. And it gives students opportunities to ask different kinds of questions than the kinds of questions they used to ask and the kinds of questions we used to ask them to answer. So it's a different learning experience, I think.
Yeah. I think it really is a different learning experience. And, like we said, it helps them to gain deeper knowledge and understanding. So what are some inspirational ways in which you integrate all of these great geo tools into your classroom? You have already mentioned a few with using the data sets and things.
So I think the thing that my students for the last couple of years have been the most excited about is anytime that we can marry up expeditions with Google Earth or expeditions with Google Maps. So, for example, there's a new video out, which just happens to show up on Netflix of all places, called Chasing Coral, but it's a very serious documentary about what's happening to fisheries and coral reefs. There are some really great images of the oceans and the oceans layer of Google Earth that you can, dive into. Sorry about that. Had to do it. Sorry, it's late. When you start to talk about things related to climate or related to change, and you talk about coral reefs and ocean ecosystems and fisheries and society's impact and their impact on societies, being able to bring in pieces like expeditions to actually take students on a dive when most of them will never get to go on a dive. I mean, you can go on a dive to the Great Barrier Reef, right, with your students right in your classroom. It gives a whole new meaning to what it is they're thinking about and studying, and I think it connects them more closely with the whole landscape, whatever it may be, whether it's a coral reef or a mountainside or a grassy plain. It connects the students in different ways so that their learning becomes much deeper, and that's just really inspirational for me as an educator. It's great to be able to work with other teachers and show them how to use these kinds of things in their classrooms with their students, and that's inspirational too. So I think it's just being able to marry up the great tools together to make a real rich experience.
I love that. Just kind of putting them all together, not using them in isolation. That's such a great advice. Yeah. So what is the way for a beginner to get started? I know so many people are just scared of Google Earth because they're used to the old Google Earth, or they're unfamiliar with My Maps and expeditions, and it can seem very overwhelming. So what advice do you have?
Yeah. So I'm going to say in the theme I've been taking here, dive in. The new web-based Google Earth is really, really user-friendly. So you get in there and you click on Voyager, and there are lots of opportunities to use the content that's already been developed to take students different places. And if you frame it with some general ideas for students to ask questions about what they're seeing and what they're learning, then you've taken away really all of the learning curve there for the educator. And in addition to Voyager, there's this thing called I'm Feeling Lucky, and it just takes you to some random sites around the globe with a lot of great information and imagery. And again, another opportunity for very low tech skills to just go in and 2 clicks. Once you get onto Google Earth, you're in something that is really very accessible for students and very usable in terms of a learning opportunity. So those are good things. The other thing you can do is if you go into a Google Advanced Search, and in the file type section, you choose either KML or KMZ. So it's Keyhole Markup Language is what KML is, and that's what Google Earth was originally written in. And what you're going to be able to find there is if you search for a topic, you'll find KMZ or KML files that are already created. And all you need to do is save that on your computer and then open it up in Google Earth or open it up in Google Maps. And you've got a pre-built activity with lots of data and imagery and sometimes video and all sorts of things in there. So I was messing around with one of those this afternoon, and I just typed in something about environmental programs, and it pulled up this huge data set that came from the United Nations, where I was able to go in and 1 minute to go. I was able to go in and click around on the globe and look at all sorts of different regions where there are environmental programs and learn about them very quickly. So it's very user-friendly in terms of go in, search for that file type, save the file, pull it up in Google Earth, and just see what you've got. You don't need to create these data sets as an educator. There are a lot of them out there already. So I think you'll be surprised at how quickly both you as an educator and your students become really comfortable with the tools and just get used to them being there to enrich your lessons. So
God, that was wonderful. Goodness, you're such a wealth of information. I'm so glad that you were able to join us, and especially today with the eclipse and everything.
Yeah.
So we just want to thank our listeners. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the show. How could you not? It was so chock full of wonderful information. Please leave us a comment to let us know what you thought. And you can join us Tuesday, not Monday, but Tuesday, September 5th, when our guest will be Michael Rausch, who will be sharing with us the ideas of design thinking and universal design for learning.
Yes, and if you can't think of anything to say in your comment, today's comment question: what was your eclipse what was your eclipse experience? Say that 3 times fast. So we'd love to hear about it. Also, just a note, we have a slide deck on Google Earth and Maps that we will be putting in the description and linking, so that Aida generously shared with us. So that will be on our website and in the YouTube description. We are always looking for guests to share the great things they're doing in their classrooms. So if you know someone who fits the bill, or if you'd like to be a guest, please visit our website at tlc.ninja and complete the contact form to let us know, and we will be in contact. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.